everyone. I'm doing my health topic on anxiety. So, my main health topic is mental health, focusing on generalized anxiety disorder. Mental health is very important to prioritize, and GAD, known as generalized anxiety disorder, is very common in most people, especially young adults. And the research question I did was, how have mental health issues such as anxiety affected your life and how do you manage it? This health topic is important to discuss because 43% of young adults deal with anxiety daily, and the number continues to rise each year. Whether they're dealing with it at school, at home, or in public, the numbers continue to rise. So moving forward for methods, I did do a focus group interview and I asked the following questions. How has anxiety impacted you at home? How has anxiety impacted you at school or in public? What are some ways you manage your anxiety? Do you have tips for others that are currently dealing with anxiety? And what symptoms do you experience? I also asked them, my participants, sub questions to follow up and encourage them to talk amongst each other. And I asked, can you elaborate more on how it affected you or your loved ones? Can you name one experience where it really bothered you? And if anyone has any other opinions or want to jump in on the topic. And how I recruited participants was I wanted to specifically interview young adults from ages 21 to 25. And I recruited two close friends and a cousin. I labeled them as participant number one, two, and three because it's all confidential, and I reached out to them by phone call. Moving on to methods part two, characteristics of my participants. So participant number one is 23, female and Mexican, and she lives in Riverside, California. Participant number two is 21, female and Mexican, and she lives in Santa Barbara, California. And participant number three is male, 25, and Middle Eastern, lives in Ventura, California. So these are all people I'm very close to. Steps I took to prepare is I had my computer ready to take notes while they were telling me their answers, and I labeled each question with the participants' responses. And I interviewed them all in person and recorded the conversation on my phone, which is confidential only to me. The length of the interview was an hour long and was split into 30-minute videos to give the participants a break in between. So we did the first 30 minutes and then we took a 5 to 10 minute break and then we did the other 30 minutes to make it a whole hour. And I would go around asking the first question and then ask participant number one, two, three, and then move on to the second question and then ask each one of them. Moving on to results, here are some quotes from the participants. Participant number one says, it affects relationships with many family members and the capacity to take on responsibilities at home. I like healthy isolation, going for walks, or doing my own thing for an hour or two. I am on antidepressants to manage my depression and anxiety. From participant number two, she mentioned when I am in public and experiencing anxiety, it feels like an out of body experience. Symptoms I experienced are derealization, dissociating, dwell on certain things, and mind racing 24/7. I feel disconnected from everyone. And then participant number three mentioned he gets a racing heart, feels hot and sweaty, a tremor around their body. And when their spouse is going through something, I feel like, what am I going to walk into today? I am anxious about the future. So they do have similar experiences with their anxiety. Results part two, main themes and findings from the interview. So the main themes from this interview are fear of the future, unsure of what will happen next, and relationships being affected. The findings I found is that all three participants experience similar anxiety symptoms and worry about different things in their life, whether it's in public, at night, or at home. Unexpected findings that one person's anxiety can be harder to manage compared to another, where some people can manage without medications while others need to be on medication because of severe anxiety. Areas for future research. In the future, I would like to ask these same research questions to older adults ranging 30 to 40s to see how GAD affects them now compared to when they were younger. And another area for future research would be to explore when people develop anxiety and what are the underlying factors that contribute to their anxiety. Conclusion. So, brief conclusion of study and findings. To conclude, I could see that anxiety affects everyone differently and they all manage it in ways that will make them feel better. What works for some doesn't work for all. From the findings, all three participants experienced similar anxiety symptoms, but the most common one is heart racing and shortness of breath. Mental health should always be a priority, just like physical health, because just like anxiety, we do not know what individuals are going through. Moving on to personal reflection, what did you take away from this process and if you liked or didn't like it? What I took away from this research experiment is I myself also suffer with anxiety ever since high school, and it just kind of increased during college and work and everything. And I try to find new ways to manage, and to know that I am not alone and that many people go through GAD every single day. I did like the process because I got to interview people close in my life and see how anxiety affects not only their mental health, but their physical health as well. Hearing all their detailed responses made the research and findings feel realer than ever and as if we were resonating with each other. Thank you guys.